What pro tip would you like to give to the opposite sex? You don't have to share the same hobbies as your partner, just as long as you appreciate their enthusiasm about it and respect the time they dedicate towards it. This really goes both ways. And just because one loses interest in a hobby you bonded over doesn't mean they have lost interest in you or spending time with you. Don't accept drinks from strangers. Sick world. If a girl offered me a drink I would chug it down and then realize I'd like another one with her. But there is no another one. You wake up in a cart surrounded by criminals and then you have to choose your looks and eventually a dragon shows up and does some damage. Hey you. Do not be embarrassed to use the restroom before bedroom activities. No one wants to pretend they can't smell that smell. This goes both ways. Edit. Thank you for the awards. These stories are great. Both ways, front and back. I hate being mid-action and get a whiff of unclean. I used to get UTIs a lot until I had the talk about taking the boys and his buddies to the car wash. Took me a couple reads to understand you weren't getting UTIs from gangbangs. Stop rubbing the clits so hard. Quit mashing the doorbell. I said come in already. No vaginal after anal anything. You will give an awful UTI if you do this. No double dipping. Your fragrance should subtly enhance your presence, not ominously warn of your impending arrival. Edit. Many have suggested the fragrance is better implied than announced quote, which I believe was from someone famous in the fashion world. It was certainly my inspiration. I took some artistic license. Thanks for the gilding. You're too kind. Perfume should be discovered, not announced. And that goes for both genders. We do not control unexpected boners. They surprise us just as much as they surprise you. I hate it when the wind blows at just the right angle with just the right amount of force. Makes shit awkward. Oh, that's why it is called a stiff breeze. Hijacking this to say, when you cry and he gets hard, he's not enjoying you cry. It's a natural response when we really care about someone. I think it's a mix of the flood of empathy hormones like oxytocin and some deep-rooted survival instinct like oh no. Bad times in tribe. Must make partner happy. Must make babies to survive future. That explains a lot. Felt weird about having boners in those situations. Felt insensitive. Fuck. Massive erection at a funeral is a sign I care. Please don't finger girls like you're digging for change. And cut your fingernails. But then blunt those freshly cut nails. Rub them on your jeans until they're not sharp anymore. Edit. Yes, guys, nail files exist. But freshly filed nails can still be a bit too sharp for a delicate vagina. I understand this issue from both the finger and the vagina's perspective. Jeans really do both sharp edges very effectively. Enthusiasm is sexier than anything else. Giving a blowjob is 50% skill and 50% acting, like it's the best part of your day. Just like that Fort Minor song. 5% pleasure, 50% pain. Talk to the guy you like instead of waiting for him to talk to you. Kiss the guy you like if he isn't making the move fast enough. Tell the guy you like what you need before it becomes a problem. Girl. Can confirm this advice is solid. Probably mentioned, but don't be playing hard to get. Guys will either be turned off or just think you don't like them and give up. And if he does keep after you when you've clearly turned him down, that's not really a good sign either. Even though I may look like it, I'm not a homeless sexual predator. I'm just an IT guy. Jake from State Farm. This applies to both sexes. Don't play games. Be honest about your intentions with whoever you're with. This applies to both sexes. Play more games. Board games are a great way for everyone to have fun. Solution. Always ask anyone you are remotely attracted to. There's a lot of fear around asking people out, but realistically it's only going to matter if either you have a strong pre-existing relationship which might change, and if that is the case, you probably know the answer before you even ask, or if you are asking it in a really creepy way, just ask simply and politely, hey, do you want to go out sometime? Worst case scenario you get a no, and are able to move on to the next person. The anxiety you feel is irrational, so long as you can learn to move on from rejection, which you will only learn to do once you start facing it. The side effects of not asking and living a life of lonely failure because you were too scared to ask is always going to be much worse than the side effects of asking. which at most will lead to temporary disappointment or embarrassment, both of which you will completely forget in the fullness of time. It gets easier with exposure. The risk/reward is always going to come out in favor of asking, because there are no real consequences to failures. Some men, like me for example, find all sizes of boobs and ass nice. Guys, keep a trash can in your bathroom if you ever expect her to come over a second time. Managing her period is hard enough without having to come out and publicly ask you where you want her to dispose of her trash. No girl wants to walk that shit to the kitchen. Edit ladies, take your trash out with you when you leave. The guys are rightfully disgusted by what they find weeks later in the lined, leaded can they've all committed to get for you, but that otherwise rarely gets used. Thank you for the award, kind stranger. Let the past die. Kill it, if you have to. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be. Chivalry is nice, but don't overdo it. We can tell when you're trying too hard. I had a guy nearly knock me over once trying to get to the door before me, so he could hold it for me. Edit. Wow, this sure did get a lot of attention lol. For those curious, the other reasons for him not getting a second date were because he was pretty damn off-putting during the date. I met him online. He seemed pretty normal online, but when we met he was dressed badly in clothes that were too small and not age appropriate. He was 37. I was 24. He tried to hold my hand while we were walking from the car into the restaurant, which I politely decline. We get into the restaurant and he tries to hold my hand as we're walking to the table and I tell him no again. When we got to the table we started talking and he was talking way too loud. He started telling jokes and they were dirty unfunny dad jokes, which I didn't mind. The only thing was he was saying them way too loud. I asked him to stop because it was making me uncomfortable and he wouldn't. He just told me I shouldn't care what people think and continued. So I just paid for my coffee and left. It was too much to deal with. Laddie. I don't know how you like it, so just say it. Edit. Didn't expect this to explode. Too many creative answers. Also thank you for the awards. Communication is my kink. Wow, you are still here? Go the fuck home. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please absolutely destroy that like button. Yeah. Have a fantastic day. Seriously, go the fuck home.